Venerables, Dhamma friends. Today also we are going to start the question and answer session. We'll start the session with the written questions, and as time permits we can proceed further to the questions coming from the audience. So we'll invite Vincent to present the written question to start the session, please.
Namaste. Bhante, we have two questions today. Question number 1. After 2 days, I have managed to interest my mind to focus on the many stages of breath for a majority of most of the sitting meditation periods. Once we leave the retreat, should we continue to focus on the breath or go deeper into deconstructing the breath to keep the mind engaged?
This is pertaining to the diversification of the mindfulness. We, at the beginning, try to give the most conducive conditions, just like in a lab, and to give the starting or pick up of the mindfulness and try to be with one single object. For example, the breath under the solitude atmosphere, only surrounded by the other fellow meditators with the timetable and all the other conditions. And with that, when you go to walking meditation, the object will be changing left to the right, and visual objects are there. Other sounds also may come. And there you proceed not along the object of meditation, but along the mindfulness. With changed objects, with changed postures, and with changing variables, you try to do mindfulness still in the retreat atmosphere. When it is going to the day-to-day activities within the retreat, still it is challenging. Then the blanket application of the mindfulness is there, but it's very thin, not so deep. Only the breath is there, but the depth is less. So likewise, within the retreat also you have different backgrounds, different situations for the mindfulness to develop. And according to your personality traits, some are very happy to sit and meditate, sit and be mindful. Some are for the walking meditation. And as a person, in my case, I started only with the day-to-day activities. I had no chances like this residential retreat like. So introduced to me while I am in the studies, and when I make so much of complaints telling that I don't have the conducive conditions, my teacher asked me to be mindful while brushing teeth. I'm going up and down for other different errands. So that is how it started. So therefore, once you know what to be maximized, what to be focused, what to be adverted, a lot of ways and means are there. So therefore, give the basic start, pick up, and see what kind of personality you have to develop in the day-to-day activities or in walking meditation or in sitting meditation. So must be proceeding with the open mind, open-minded situation, but don't be specific on particular object or particular on one posture or particular time. Of course, to start it, you must give the maximum conducive conditions, but keep it open, and it's quite diversified. So therefore, at the beginning, just like in a nursery, we have to give the conducive conditions, but don't underestimate your capacity. Don't underestimate your potential. Don't underestimate your possibilities. And it is, possibilities-wise, it is enormous, it is infinitum. So have a positive hope, continue. Let the mind always to assimilate new ways and means. So therefore, not only the mindfulness, but your intuitive knowledge will go hand in hand. So then it is no more a task, no more a regimentation, appear like a hobby. Always you see new ways and means. That is how specifically the mindfulness inclined to the insight meditation is going to happen. So you are very adventurous, always with the radical reflection. So therefore, don't let the mind to raise these kind of conventional questions, linear kind of questions, linear kind of limitations. Keep it open, and then you will be ever rejuvenated.
The other question is a general one. How many types of Buddhist meditations are there? Is there a hierarchy? How does one relate or lead into the others?
So it's an open question.
Yeah.
Very difficult to limit it. So somewhere you have to start. Somewhere you have to start and continue rather than worrying about the total number of meditative methods and total number of teachers, total number of techniques like. There is no limit as such. But to start by wherever may be possible, whatever may be available, start to make the complicated situation into simplified answer. Just worry only about the mindfulness. I mean not worrying, but concern mindfulness. Don't take the subject of meditation into the discussion because it is misleading. Mindfulness is a very specific thing. Try to be mindful. Don't worry about the concentration. Don't worry about the meditation. Don't worry about the religious part. Don't worry anything. Just try to be mindful. Then everything will be a possibility. Otherwise, everything will be a hindrance. Everything will be a problem, complications. So, I have seen number of efforts the scholars and others taken to see, put the Buddhism into a nutshell or to reduce into something, they found very difficult. But I found practically, if you take mindfulness as your immediate task, you are not much worried about the golden formulas or complete infinitum understanding, but instead you will mind your next step. And then it will be leading. Mindfulness will be the leader, precursor. Then life is very simplified.
So that's all for the day. I wonder whether we have any more questions on the written questions on the table. Looks like, yeah.
Bhante, I have a question regarding you said like mindful and also the pain in this morning. Like let's say a person has a critical illness, so the pain, physical pain, comes and goes constantly. So how should this person accept or face this illness?
So you have to ask the question, while the pain is disturbing and distracting, are you increasing the thought moments of mindfulness in a remarkable way, or you become again and again become discouraged because the pain is distracting, so your thought moments of mindfulness is reducing. So this indicates the particular person's approach, particular person's attitude. So the pain become a hindrance or problem. If you consider it as a unpenetrable or look from a weak mind, yes, it is there. But even cancer patients, even the terminal cancer patients, they know definitely they are terminal, but they are suffering. But to introduce mindfulness in the last moment, there are some issues, there are some cases. Some people can get a distance from the pain and still be aware, they are mindful.
How do you keep the distance from the pain? Let's say it's because it's fear, because the pain can come anytime and it would disappear anytime. So it's a fear, and you are expecting the fear, expecting the pain, and it's just a torturing.
So that you can understand, fear is not the pain is not the matter. The shadow of the pain is the fear. The fear is the matter. Whether you have a pain or not, if you are a person always suspicious, always with doubts, always entertain doubts, you have a lot of excuses not to be mindful. But the definition of mindfulness is beyond that. Or even on the doubtfulness, you can be mindful.
How?
So you understand, my mind is perplexed. My mind is with doubts. The reason for the doubt, the reason for the fear, reason for the doubt may be many facets. But you have character trait. I'm a person more doubtful, more fear, more uncertainty than another person. And sometimes my mind is more doubtful than the other time. Likewise, you can take this doubt itself, the entertainment of doubts, entertaining doubts itself as a personality trait or your character type. And of course, I understand that is not the starting, that's not a good starting point for the mindfulness. But after a certain amount of momentum in the mindfulness, even you can be, the doubt itself can be an object for your mindfulness. Theoretically, first you have to understand, and then give a try. But,
so regarding the fear, can I just say open-armed, just say, come, the pain can come because I don't fear the pain anymore? Can I put the mindful in that?
That is anticipation. You are living in future, not in the present moment. So you are torturing yourself, not due to the pain, but due to the fear. A fear is mind-made. Pain is maybe an outside cause, but the fear is from in to out. It's a projection. So that is very difficult. I know it is not a good starting point for the mindfulness, but once mindfulness gathers the momentum, you can understand whatever the luxuries you have, whatever the potential you have, still you can suffer yourself with your future projections. And it says, if you take the life into two, early part of your life and the latter part, the younger generation is always living in future. Older generation is living in the regret about the past. So that is the way. So you are belongs to?
Present.
So it's natural. You are not mad. You are not extraordinary. And share with others, and you will see it's a general observation. Younger generation always with the enthusiasm, and they are driven by this novelty and all the kind of things, so they are burning the candle from both the ends.
Thank you.
Bhante, thank you for taking our questions. In the United States now, there is a big movement of teaching mindfulness. I work in the field of addictions, and there is some teaching in the addictions to use mindfulness to help the person addicted with drugs or other addictions. I haven't yet seen an effectiveness of mindfulness in helping somebody successfully remain free from the cravings of addiction, of the drugs. And addiction is a painful cycle all throughout, whether you have the drug or whether you don't have the drug, you're always in mental, emotional, and at times physical pain. How can one teach basic technique that will strengthen the person's capacity to recognize the craving and manage it so that it doesn't go into the taking of the drug with mindfulness?
So regarding the same issue, I have a very positive project, positive results, positive suggestion. In Sri Lanka, we in a group we call Mindful Foundation. We started teaching mindfulness to the school children. That's called Mindful School, Satipasara. Its project is 1 year old now. So we started with the grassroots level. Our monastery is in a very remote area. Some of the other got the Sunday school and the close by schools. Some of them are about to close now. And started giving 2 hours courses for the children, teaching and letting them to do walking meditation first, and then instructing and letting them to come and sit. And there are some facilitators, instructors, and enormous way they express themselves in poems, dancing, and drawings. Each and everyone is encouraged. So the education director in the area, she also came with her daughter, and she found the difference, and she personally took interest to introduce these 49 schools in this district. And what we did was asking them to volunteer and presented it as a secular system rather than the religious, and then develop a system with 3 stages. At the first stage, we give them an essay to read 5 minutes a day, Monday about the general mindfulness, Tuesday about whenever you get a chance to sit, how to be mindful in sitting, and Wednesday, how to be mindful in walking, 4th day, Thursday, how to be mindful in day-to-day activities, and the 5th day, Friday, mindful games. So we give the course for 8 weeks. Just few essays, either voice cut or go and read, or the class teacher can read it. And whenever they find it is helpful and the message is going across, then they will invite one of our mindful facilitator or trainer, and they will select one class or a handleable amount of group, and we use the playground as well as the classroom, demonstrate walking meditation and sitting meditation. So when we are about to cover this area, we had a meeting with the Minister of Education. At the beginning he was hesitant because he told, how can I support you people? I don't know what does it mean by mindfulness. You have to teach me. So first we taught the education department, and then the Colombo district, all the national schools. And now almost within 1 year, we have come up to a national level. Now, few days time, we'll go to the other districts also and ask the teachers to get together. Each school has to send 5 teachers, and we will demonstrate them. This is the way you have to explain to the child, and this is the way you have to demonstrate it, and let them walk and let them do sitting meditation, and afterward 10 minutes for their reflection. Feedback. And we have enormous amount of notes, but they write about their understanding about the mindfulness, how do they experience, how they go back home and teach their parents, how they go back and teach their colleagues, and sometimes the class teacher. So just before coming here, I went to UN Vesak Day, celebrated in Sri Lanka. I presented 10 minutes DVD as a remedy for the social injustice and the sustainable peace. So they asked me, what do you mean by how the mindfulness and the sustainable peace can relate it, how the social justice can be, injustice can be answered by mindfulness. So I told, the Buddha has mentioned, Ekayano ayam bhikkhave maggo sattana visuddhya. The Buddha mentioned, this is the one and the only way for the purification of the mind, the mindfulness. It is not only answering the social injustice, not only answering the sustainable peace, but all the mental and health problems, micro level and the macro level. So best thing is to teach it to the child where the mind is not polluted yet. So we can start at the grade 4 and go up to the grade 12. And once that is given in the classroom, we'll go to the second phase where we will have mindful camps, just like scout camps. And they will do gardening, they can do making compost, they can do hiking, they can do many mindful games away from the class, away from the parents and the school. And we have done in New Zealand, Melbourne, and in Sri Lanka also a few cases. And you can see how much they get free and released. And the parents also can see how much they are communicating with the facilitators, how friendly. And after successfully completing these mindful camps at the 5-year plan, after 10 years' time, I thought of introducing this as a school subject, mindfulness. So we have now drafted the syllabus and everything. So we are proceeding very fast, and I thought of showing the 10 minutes clip for all of you before finishing the retreat. And then you will see it is not negative or it is not without results, it's a promising results. Its demand is so high. Now we are running short of mindful facilitators, mindful teachers, and I know it's a parallel is in America, it's also called mindful school. And in UK, they started mindful nation. And parliament members in UK visiting Australia, Ireland, Holland, and America also, and they teach without mentioning the name of the Buddha. This is how it is happening. Each and every parliament member, before the debate, they have to sit 10 minutes in the British Parliament. What is the name? I can't remember, wherever maybe. So it is going in all the directions. So in the method that we introduced was, we are in secular form. Because 70% of the Sri Lankan children are Buddhist, 30% non-Buddhist. So we have the interfaith discussion among all the religious masters and presented this, and everyone was happy. They say, even Bhante, if you are going to introduce mindfulness with the Buddhist principles, still we are happy. Because it is the panacea, it is the way answer for the present day questions. So therefore, don't get hesitant, don't get discouraged, just teach the younger generation as much as possible. The unfortunate thing is to teach the younger generation, elderly generation, all generations do not know what does it mean by mindfulness. So we have to teach them first, gain their confidence, and through them we have to earn the heart of the younger generation. And once you've given, you will see, and I have a clip here, they have done a mindful camp in this monastery, Chuangyang, through Goenka system. And if you open the clip, you can see how happy the children are and how happy they respond. It is not given in the religious background, it is given like just mindfulness. So thank you very much for the question.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful.
Thank you, Bhante. I have a question. What we learned this morning, we apply the same method to the outside material and the people around us, using the same methods.
Still, I can't get the question. Yeah, you
observe. My question is, what we learned today is to observe the feelings and the materials worldwide. And then my question is how we can apply what we learned this morning to the outside material world and the people around us. Are we using the same method as we observe the way ourselves?
If I got the question properly, what I tried to share with you all was, as far as the feelings are concerned, it's an advanced level exercise. So you have to develop mindfulness, you have to introduce mindfulness at the material level with the pertaining to the body, and then let the mind to be face to face with the material phenomena, the breath, the rising and falling, or left leg and right leg. And even though it is very boring, even though it is monotonous, just observe the beginning, the middle and the end of the physical phenomena, material phenomena, the breath, the rising and falling, or left leg and right leg. And when the familiarity is increasing, your mindfulness become very sharp, and mindfulness become very versatile. And with that only you can see the beginning, the middle and the end of the mental phenomena, maybe feeling, or maybe perception, maybe volitional activities. So if you feel it is difficult to go into the mental phenomena, that indicates your mindfulness is not strong enough yet. So you have to develop and you have to familiarize it, season it with physical phenomena, materiality, and keep on practice. While practicing one day, it will learn how to tackle the same thing in the mental phenomena, namely feelings. And once it is open to the mental phenomena, it's a vast knowledge. In Pali, feelings are called as Vedana. The knowledge, the vast knowledge is called Vedaya. Trivedaya means the three baskets of knowledge in the Hindu language, Hindu tradition. Vedaya means the knowledge. That means any understanding on the feeling is opening doors to the universal knowledge or connection to the cosmic library. The vast knowledge. So therefore, to qualify yourself, you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful on the materiality, the physical phenomena. Through that, with that qualification, you can plug into these feelings or the mentality, and then only you can. The present day, in the modern term, it called, you can join into the conscious army. Conscious army means wherever you may be, if you are mindful, you are in the same family. That's a kind of a telepathic connection. The bad side also in a very big network, I know it's a conspiracy. But the good side of the world is that mindful people are also connected in a conscious army. So it is a vast area, it's a big family, it's a cosmic family. So to get the membership, you have to be mindful in the physical phenomena first. So don't worry, even though you are not an expert to the mental phenomena, that means you are not up to the mark in the physical phenomena. So take time, be mindful here and now with the simple in-breath and out-breath, left and the right, rising and falling, whatever may be. And when it is going, the mindfulness is naturally evolving and diversifying into the mental one. So therefore, if I am to cite the method like Goenkaji method, they are quickly getting connected with the feelings. They do only 3 days walking, the Anapanasati meditation, and then go to the feelings. But the Mahasi system that I am familiar with, they specialize basically on the Kayanupassana, the materialistic part. When and where the maturity comes, mind naturally goes to the immaterial part, feeling part. So therefore it is natural growth. So therefore, theoretically you know, materiality later leads to the mentality. Practically, you keep on practicing with the phenomena, whatever arising, and you generally anchor, generally get the pivotal point, the benchmark in the materiality. But still, I think that your question is, you have to further refine and define.
To my understanding is, if you're fully understanding yourself, then you can understanding the same way of other people's feelings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And further simplicity, if you understand the materiality, you become qualified, you get the membership to the understanding of non-materialistic thing, mental part. So therefore, you first thing first, be mindful on your materialistic part, the breath of physical body or the posture, and that is you are already endowed with as a human being. So be mindful and mind your own business.
Thank you, Bhante. I think my questions relate to my own problems during the practice. I think something I confused with the concentration and mindfulness. For example, when I'm doing a walking meditation, to a certain part, I realize actually my mind is walking. For some reason, I have that kind of maybe illusion or something. And after that, because I'm walking towards the floor, so things changed. So kind of like blurry, boundary very vague, kind of coming up to me. So I got scared. I told myself, be mindful, so pay attention to my mind at the time. So I do notice my feeling is fear. I feel like this is not something I used to see. So I stepped away. I came back, for the sitting. But I do think it might due to the concentration at that time. So I wasn't sure, because similar feeling came up also when I was doing a sitting meditation. I think I get used to, because I was observing my breathing, and then I think I'm into the mind at this time. I feel bored several times. I told myself, notice that, because I really see my breathing changes different part of the body and directions, and that, and up and down, or to my shoulders, everything kind of like that. I get bored. I said, at that time I noticed my mind get boring. I don't know, for some reason I couldn't understand. It just, I feel like, I think it's a wind, right? If talking about the 4 elements, it's kind of in here. And then I wasn't feeling sad, but I noticed, I have tearing. But at the time, my mind is confused, because I really don't think I'm experiencing my body sensations. I only notice at the time I have a mind. I'm thinking what I'm doing. I wasn't clear. I said I was supposed to be mindful, but I really don't know what I'm doing at the moment. The sensation, if I notice this is the body, but at the time I don't think it's a body or something, it's just like a light hitting on my, even though my eyes is closing, but a lot of lighting hitting on my eyes. So during that time, kind of like tearing, I don't know. I think maybe the tearing because I confused what I'm doing.
So you are explaining something happened during walking or in sitting?
Both. Walking is because I don't understand the floor.
Yeah, the early part was walking that you explained. There, the blurriness and the lack of boundaries and the clarity disappears.
Right. Yes.
So do you consider it as a sign of advancement or sign of confusion?
At that moment, I feel like I can't control. My mind actually was scared.
So that means you've taken it as a negative.
Oh, say it again.
Negative.
Yeah, I think so.
So my suggestion is, it's a very clear sign, mind is advancing, and what is happening under your very nose, you are suspecting.
Yeah.
And instead you have a kind of a preconceived idea, meditation must be like that, when the mindfulness happens it must be so and so, but it is not happening.
Oh, yeah.
So you
yeah.
are believing, you are intuitive and the rational knowledge, and you are rejecting under the nose experience.
Okay.
Therefore, you have to next time, you have to go prepared, at least give an equal chance for this, or give more chance to the direct experience. So if I am to define, more and more you practice, thing will be more and more blurred, no boundaries.
Yeah.
Uncertainty happens. But even if you wipe your eyes and see, it is exactly the same. So imagine if you can go prepared and be glad about that.
Okay. Okay.
And in the sitting meditation, the breath or any object what you take, maybe material object, it has many shapes, it has many patterns or manners. So first when you approach the object, you see the shapes. And if you continue to penetrate into that, changes happen in a manner, like a camera photo and a DV video. Photo is the fixed shape. And if you observe it, chronologically, each and everything is changing the pattern like a video clip. So therefore, still photo and a video, like the mindfulness advance further and further, when it is happening, object and the observed mind become closer and closer and closer. When you are about to hug each other, everything becomes blur.
Okay.
Everything becomes no boundaries. Everything becomes unexplainable. No center, no benchmark, no pivotal point. So you feel like nauseatic. You feel like disoriented.
Right.
You feel like outcasted. You feel like rejected from the... So this is the way our egocentric thinking is going to pieces without falling apart.
Okay.
There's a book by the same author, Mark Epstein, Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart. Expressing the idea about this, you see the Chinaware, these ceramic, when they become very old, you get the cracks marks. Their value is added now. You get the idea?
Yeah, yeah.
Old Chinaware, there are a lot of crack marks.
Right.
It is gone to pieces but not fallen apart. So likewise, we understand that one being is not one unit. It's agglomeration of many integral particles. Now due to the mindfulness, now the particles appear somewhat independent but not fallen apart. So it's a threatening. It is nauseatic. It is phobia. So that is why we look outside, because outside we see permanent, fixed.
Right, right.
But the inside, when and where it comes, the focused inside, the going to pieces is happening. So unless otherwise you are consistent, unless otherwise you apply the mind further and further, you will reject the direct experience. Instead, you will believe the concepts. That is, you perceive premeditative ideas. So it's a war between the conceptual ideas and the direct knowledge.
Okay.
So we are very happy and amused with the conceptual ideas or philosophies. Or it is also part and partial. But the Buddha is telling to give the direct approach. For that you must have enormous faith. Otherwise the doubt. Doubt is the fear, uncertainty. But to the faith, it is not overnight thing. Repetitively you have to do. Next day you go a little bit further. Next day you go a little bit further, more prepared mind, and ultimately you develop the endurance power or catalytic effect. Nothing happens. Go ahead. Even if you learn art, you will be in a hell of a fix if you are going to teach someone. You can't teach it. No one is happy. Because everyone wish to listen ideas which is self-centered, boosting yourself, boosting your ego, boosting your desire. But the inside is threatening without any limits. It is cracking and it is going to pieces, not only the object, even the observer. The person who is observing also being threatened. That's why you go halfway and stop it. Never mind. That is the way everyone is doing. Do trial and error. Next time go a little prepared, and that ability, the capacity we call immunity. You develop kind of an immunity, you develop the self-confidence, and the mindfulness is the one and the only way. No other thing can compensate it.
Okay.
So, and the other thing is for you, no anyone can do for you. You have to do yourself. Otherwise you can go to the supermarket and buy it. But in this case, no. No. For your child, he has to or she has to do. They have nothing to do. So the Buddha says, I am not a savior. I have nothing to give you. I am giving the system. If you are bold enough, you will put into practice. More the time you practice, more the confidence you get. More the immunity you get. More the catalytic power you develop. And then you understand all the world is nothing but a distraction. Distraction to the inside meditation. So therefore the early part of it is painfully slow. Painfully slow. You can't add flavors. You can't any decorations. It's bare, painfully slow. So we people must be mad. Take this painfully slow business as our meditation.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Thanks.
Thank you again, Bhante. In the everyday life, in being mindful in daily activities, because of the practice of mindfulness, I become able to see things, to distinguish things rather quickly, faster than, say, my colleagues and you just mentioned, other people will be angry, people will be upset because, and I'm always striving to use right speech so that I don't, sometimes it's difficult and it becomes frustrating because what is obvious to me, the plan of action, so to speak, to prevent pitfalls, other people don't see it. And so I become frustrated. And then I have to remind myself, okay, they don't see what I see. But then I have to be mindful not to become arrogant that they don't see what I see. How do you deal with that internal conflict of being mindful and doing right speech and not becoming arrogant? It's confusing sometimes. It's frustrating.
So, theoretically speaking, if you take the Noble Eightfold Path, the right view, the broader view leads to right thinking, right thoughts. And both are leading to right speech. So before the right speech, you must have Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, and then the Samma Vacha. So without that, whatever the oratory you have, whatever the presentation you do, you are confusing yourself. You are confusing the word. So who Pandit Sayadaw used to say, in the present day, we have so efficient speakers, they can speak to a stone statue, and the statue also will say, yes, yes, by bending the neck. Such a oratory. But their right view and the right thoughts are not trained. So therefore, first you will sort it out, the communication problem sort it out within yourself. The body language, your body and the mind language. Whatever your body says, mind rejects. Whatever the mind says, body rejects. That's why we are physically ill, mentally ill. We never appreciate body language or body knowledge. We never love our body. We never appreciate the present moment. We are eternal haters of the present moment. We are eternally hating myself. That's why there's so much of research. You are never happy and contented here and now. That's why the research, that's why the whole future projections. Imagine the thought moment, you are very happily sitting and you appreciate in sitting. No communication necessary. You are contented. Your communication necessary whenever there is no contentment. And there you have to understand, if the communication should take place in the superconductive way, or short and sweet way, Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, or the correct view and the correct thought are precursor. To understand the present day information technology, present day the communication systems, so much advanced in technologically, but leading to chaotic situation. It's the official government liars and the media. Nothing to talk about. They can twist they can bend the truth. They can change regime. But the thing is, day by day, it goes to a chaotic situation. But by becoming mindful, you try to be here and now, and you understand things are happening in an orderly way. Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, then only Samma Vacha. So, as far as the misdeeds are concerned, 3 physical misdeeds, 3 mental misdeeds, 4 verbal misdeeds. If you believe the hell or nether world, majority go there not due to the physical misdeeds, not due to the mental misdeeds, due to the verbal. So shut your mouth up. Be silent. Noble silence. The Buddha mentioned, Dhammajiva kata, ariyova tunnibhavu. Sannipatitanam vo bhikkhave dvayam karaniya. Whenever we get together, 2 things you have to be mindful. One thing is, if you talk on something on Dhamma. Otherwise, shut your mouth up. So, very difficult. And recently I read, I can't remember. It's a very great philosopher. He says, if it is unexpressible, best thing is to maintain silence. If you know what you are going to say is not communicable, difficult to explain, be silent. Otherwise, you are adding more and more to the turmoil. And why should? So therefore, the Buddha have 9 epithets. One thing is Muni. Muni means mute. His silence speaks. Silent sermon, rather than giving the rhetoric, colorful talk, just his silence is speaking. It's louder. The deeds are more louder than your words. So therefore, in retreats, we always promote not to talk each other, just to be silent. But thing is, it's very difficult today, we being social beings. We are always greeting each other and talking each other, looking face to face each other, and very talkative, not only verbally, in a chatter. Keep on going. But don't try to stop it, because then it will giving unwanted repercussions. But to understand what is the agenda behind this inner chatter. What's the agenda behind in our normal day-to-day chatter? Who is talking? What is being communicated? So mindfulness gives some pauses, some intermittent pauses to say, what are you talking about? What is the thing you are going to achieve like? So likewise, when you are living with unmindful people, the mindful person appear like a black sheep. So one day, Pandita Sayadaw has taken a religious center for a retreat in Canada. And retreat went very nicely. And next time the organizers go and try to book the center, they say, no for your group. And they told that we have clearly followed your instructions, paid the money and everything. Why? What is the reason you are rejecting? He says, you people behave like enemies, not talking each other. So therefore, we are not happy with your group. Then she mentioned very clearly, indicating this is one of the situations with all difficulties we achieved. Our master is very happy. We are not talking, and it is you have to understand this situation. And it's an achievement, it's an added value for our retreat. But the center, administrator, they found each other enemy, envious, angry. That is why they are talking about. So likewise, when you are living household life as well as inside meditation, my presentation is your family members are not the culprit. You are the culprit. You are the one doing mindfulness, so you must be fit into the both. You should learn the art. Don't find fault with them. They are not practicing. They are not restrained. You are the person undergoing the restraint. So the coping up with the other people is a hell of a task. It's a hell of a task. When I was practicing, I was in the second year in my university. And earlier I used to be a very social and very talkative person. And whenever I try to give the clutch and the brake to my talks, and so much of misunderstanding. I'm being rejected from the peer groups. So I went there and reported to my teacher. He says, don't worry, but don't do it very quickly. Let it happen slowly. Don't do it, let it happen. So exactly the same thing with my family members. So it's a difficult task, but very interesting, very, very adventurous. So you can imagine, for the first time when the Buddha go and talk with these 5 monks about the truth, what was their reaction? They told, nothing to talk with you, get out. They told, why should we listen to you? You and we are the same. What you have to tell specifically? So Buddha used number of techniques to get the confidence of these 5 monks. For the first sermon, it's a factory fresh Buddha, brand new Buddha. But the communication, and at the beginning he decided not to communicate. That is written in the literature. Buddha first decided it will be hopeless. Because people wanted to have something egotistic talks, or conceived, giving the conceived. That's the kind of talk people are very happy to listen. But what the Buddha is going to give is against the grain. So that art still remaining after 2,600 years, what a miracle. So you have to understand against the grain story. And that is more true to the talk rather than mental and physical deeds. This is the communication part. Okay, it is almost time up. And a message came from the sister that many Chinese participants, they can't just follow the talk. Maybe it is too fast I am talking, and the subject matter also difficult to grasp. But still they are very enthusiastic, they are very patient. So they ask, can someone transcribe the talks into English so that they can translate into Chinese? Even if it is taking time, they are happy. So I gave the task to Vincent. Vincent says he can't do alone, so someone has to help him transcribing the talks and then pass it to the sister. They will then translate into Japanese and Chinese, and then they say even it takes time, no problem, because they are very enthusiastic. So I think Bridget has taken one talk and some other has to shoulder, and if available, please, 9 talks. So if someone is willing to volunteer, please contact Vincent, and then with time we can do something meaningful, worthwhile. Okay, with that announcement, we are going to sum up today's question and answer session. Thank you very much for the participation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.